Well, fingers crossed, we are live. The system booted me out. Welcome and Happy New Year, Amanda. Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you all had a lovely festive break. Typical. We start the new year with technology playing me up already. Look, within a minute of hitting the button, it said that there was no event organised because you have to build an event in this system, you see. And it was done. Because it was all over Facebook and YouTube, so I know it was done. It just decided it wasn't going to do it today. Anyway, let's move on. Fingers crossed it's all sorted now. I think somebody's coming to my rescue. It said there was no event organised, Martin, but it was. So let's get started. So today we are going to well, let's put it this way. This is a bit of a nemesis of mine, really. So we're going to put this to bed, so to speak. So this is a card that I taught. I'm doing a version of a card I taught on our last lot of workshops. And I thought it would take about 2, maybe 3 hours maximum for everybody to do it. And it became much, much bigger than that. So I want to show everybody how to make this card, and those of you that attended the workshop can have this to follow along again. I'm using it with different stamps because we did it as a Christmas one. In fact, I may well show you it in the Christmas version so that you can see what it was like in Christmas at the end, and then you can see what it's all about. So we're going to use, I'll tell you what, we'll flip round. Now, there we go. So it's not a huge kit today as far as products are concerned, but it's 12 plus papers that you need to measure out. Look, I've got all my little lists, look, so that I can tell you what you got to do and how you got to do it. So we are going to be using the sentiment stamp set. And I'm just going to go over into our comments. So if anybody is there watching, I would love you to comment on there so that I know that you're there. Hopefully the comments will come up. It says I'm... Oh, hey! Hi, Catherine. Happy New Year. Hi, Teresa. Happy New Year. Hi, Pat. Happy New Year. So they're all you Facebook people. I'm not sure if anybody's watching through YouTube. If you are, can you please just say hello so that I know that we're live on there as well. Hi, Margaret. So we're going to be using the sentiment stamp set. Hi, Maggie. And then we are using simple snowdrops, and this says have a wonderful day, happy birthday, and simple is beautiful. And then you get the 2 different corner flourishes, and you can use them any which way really, which we will be using in different ways. Again, I'm going to apologise. I came down with that horrible flu-y thing that everybody had over Christmas. Got it the Wednesday before Christmas. Perfect. So I've got a bit of a tickly cough still left. And funnily enough, just before I came on live, it said that there's a 100-day cough going round. I thought, yeah, I know it. And we're also using our famous brick wall stencil. Then we've got the cardstock that we do in 300 or 250 GSM. Susan, I don't know what went on. It came up and said that no event was organised, but clearly you were there waiting and everybody knew it was there. Oh, Annie, only 10 minutes. You'll have to come back and watch us. We're also going to be using the anti-static bag, the Versafine Onyx Black, Distress Oxide in Shabby Shutter, Crystal Clear Embossing Powder, Honeydew Craft Sticky Glue in the 2 sizes that it comes in, 120 or 30ml, whichever. And then we are using clean colour pens in, we're going to be using the blender pen, which is 999, and green yellow, which is 053. Good afternoon, Veronica. Good afternoon, Susan. Happy New Year. And good afternoon, Amy Leanne. Right, let me move these bits out of the way. I've got so much on the table because, as I said, there's quite a lot of bits of paper. There's a lots of bits of paper to this. I even taught my mum and mother-in-law and my second mum, as I call her, Rosina, this in our kitchen. So as I said, there is quite a few bits of paper to this today. And I have numbered them. I would recommend numbering them purely because you're going to have 11 plus a card of white alone. So it just makes it a little bit easier for you. So the measurements, and I will post measurements on Facebook for this as well. And if I can work out how to add it into YouTube, I will also add it into YouTube. Bear with me, my phone is doing some weird and wonderful things. Hopefully we can end that, and if my mum's watching, she can tell my sister not to phone me at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, or Thursday afternoon even. So, as I said, numbered 1 to 11. I think I have been lost on the phone, so hang on 2 minutes. Oh, the wonders of. See, it's never simple, is it? Never simple. I think I'm back on my phone. Let's spin it around. Hey, there we go. Back. Yay. Okay. Please let me know that you are all still seeing and hearing me. Anybody watching? I'm sure we're all here. Thank you, Margaret. Greatly appreciated. Yay. Right, so here we go. Number 1 is 7.5 inch square. Annie, I have to say, for the first time ever, I walked away from a workshop and I could have just cried. So we're going to beat that today. And then we have another piece which is 7 inches by 6 7/8. There's a reason for that, so make sure you do the 6 7/8 and don't try and skip it to 7 inches. It will all come clear. Pat, hopefully it's come back through on YouTube now. Then number 3 is 7 by 11.5. Once this card is put together, it is so simple, but it's a few moving pieces. Then we have number 4, which is 6.5 inch square. Number 5 is 6.5 by 5 3/4. Hi Angela. You haven't missed much, you've just missed a few measurements. And I'll repeat them as I'm going along. Number 6 is 5 3/4 inch square. Number 7 is 5.5 inch square. 8 and 9 are the same size, so they're 4.5 inch by 5.5 inch. Number 10 is 3.5 inch by 6.5 inch. And number 11 is 2.5 by 6.5. We have an 8 by 8 card. And then for this particular one, which they didn't have at the workshop, so these black pieces weren't involved, and you only need to do the black pieces on certain pieces, because some of it you don't need to mat and layer and some of it you do. So the matting and layering, number 1 for your number 1 card, I'm going to flip those over, is literally 1/8 of an inch bigger, so you've got that really fine little border all the way around the edge. So number 1 in black is 7 5/8 square. Ooh, see, look, I need different piles for everything. Number 2 and 3 don't have anything on them. Number 4 again has just 1/8 of an inch around the edge, so that black piece is 6 5/8 square. Number 5 has nothing. Number 6 has nothing. Number 7 again has that extra piece around the edge, so it's 5 5/8 square. Number 8 and number 9 also have extra, So you are 5.5 inch, no, sorry, 5 5/8 by 4 5/8 for number 8 and number 9. The black piece is 5 5/8 by 4 5/8. Number 10 should have a piece of black, so we may end up having to cut that. Number 10 should have a piece that should be 3 5/8 by 6 5/8. In fact, that's what we shall quickly remedy now. Well, we can. I know I cut it because I was debating whether I was going to use it, but because it'll make sense in a moment as to why I was debating whether I was going to use it, because it is that's a perfect opportunity for me to explain where the 8s are. So you need number 10 to be 3 5/8. So an 1/8 is, I don't know if I can zoom in that close. I'm going to try and come in really close and then hopefully you'll be able to see it. Move these pieces out of the way. So this piece needs to be 3 5/8. So these are the 8ths. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8. 3 5/8 by 6 5/8. I will zoom you back out now. You don't need to see it like that anymore. Oh, wrong way. I'll make you all dizzy. And I keep, you know, when you're using A4 sheets of paper and you get all those little, when you're cutting into a square, you always get all those extra pieces left behind, don't you? I keep them all. Ideal for doing exactly what I just did. That's all that was a piece of an cut off of an A4 piece of paper. So this is, the black piece is 3 5/8 by 6 5/8. And then number 11, your black piece is 2 5/8 by 6 5/8. Right, we're going to get this started. I'm in a hot sweat already, people. Right, we're going to start with the cardstock. Right, Shabby Shutter. Using a blending brush. We are out of stock of them at the moment. They will be back. We're just trying to get hold of them. So Shabby Shutter, and I'm just going to literally blend all the way around the edge. Bear in mind my Shabby Shutter is quite old. I've never refilled it and I use it quite a lot. So, but I quite like keeping them when they're a bit more used, because then you get a slightly more subtle finish. Sometimes they can be quite juicy when you first get them, so be careful with that. Hi Margaret, I hope you had a good walk. Poor Maisie Moo hasn't had one yet because I've been busy prepping this today. It's been one of those weeks. I'm a bit behind on what I wanted to be doing because I, as I say, came down with that horrible bug over Christmas. So what I planned to do the week before Christmas didn't really get done. So now I've got to cram it in. I took my decks down yesterday, Debbie. It's sad, isn't it? But to be honest, you've already made this card. And it was probably your nemesis too. Debbie was at one of our workshops that we did this in September. In fact, she was at the first workshop that we taught this in. And she'll be pleased to know that the second class I taught it in took nearly an hour longer than you guys did to make it. So we are going to beat this. Now, I reckon if you were doing this completely off the hook, never had touched it before, I reckon it's about an hour and a half to 2 hour card to make on your own. If you've got me speaking in your ear as well, that might help or it might hinder, who knows. But certainly not 4 to 5 hours. That's the pleasure sometimes. I think I pushed my luck a little far with everybody. Right, so I've got my brick wall stencil and I've got the card base, and all I'm going to do is go round the edge, and I've started off the card. Don't go hard in on the edge here because you're going to repeat it, so you don't want that hard line in there.
And again, it's quite subtle. I'm not going in really heavy with it, and because I'm moving it along. Hi Janice, hi Tina. Yes, we will be at Sandown, Viv. Can you believe it's come around? It seems to have come around really quickly this year. So, as I said, we're just going to ink this up around the edge. So those of you that asked me for longer YouTubes, this one's going to be longer. It's not the dotty one, Debbie, it's that one with the moving piece inside. I'm just going to turn it around because I'm struggling to hold that in place while I'm doing this. And remember, don't go hard in where you've got to repeat the pattern. So you're going to go really light around the edge. My thought process on this today is we will do all of the inking and all of the blending before I move on to any stamping. Now, when we did teach this in a workshop, we did the first section and everybody asked if they could go off, do that and come back and do the second section. That didn't quite work because so many people were at different places all the way along. So that may have been our downfall, who knows. It's a fab card when it's done. It just pushed a few people's patience in some areas, I think. So as I say, you're moving it along so you don't get a hard edge. Be careful. I think everybody enjoyed doing it, Debbie. It was just took a lot longer than we expected, didn't it? Right. As I said, I'm trying to do as much of this as we're going along so that you can actually see how it's done. I have pre-done a lot of it, so if we need to, I can certainly move things along a little bit. A lot of it is repeating what you've already done as well, so if you've already seen me stenciling a brick wall, you don't need to see me stencil a brick wall on everything, do you? So that's kind of what I mean. Right, so it is a really subtle brick wall effect all the way around the edge. Only done that, and it will make sense in a minute. We basically build another card within this, and you only see that edge, but if it's left completely white, it's too white. Right, so that's your card base done. We're going to move on to our first piece. And as I said, obviously when you've numbered it, Catherine, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I know lots of you did enjoy it, and it did take a lot longer than we had planned, but hopefully people still did enjoy it. I think most people did. Most people said they would still do it again, so that's always a good thing. So we've numbered on one side. I will turn it over just because it means that you haven't got to try and rub that number out in the middle. If you forget, the worst thing that can happen is you have to stick an extra butterfly in there to hide your numbers up. Right, so we're going to take our magic board and we are going to pop this down. So this is our front page, so to speak, and this is a 7.5 inch white square. Remember, we're going to ink just around the edges again. Don't go hard in, and have quite a light touch with this. We're going to stamp over the top and we're going to colour it. So keep it quite a light touch and don't go hard in on this edge because you're going to repeat your pattern. I say it over and over, but I don't want you to have that problem. And it isn't fun when you have to try and marry those lines up, I can assure you. So go far enough over that you can marry the two pieces up, but not too far that you come off hard on that edge. Debbie, I like that idea. Give it as a present, but I want it back, or as a card, and then I want it back. Well, hopefully this will give you an idea on how to do it, and you'll have it. I did say to some of the ladies at Coventry that I was going to do a video on it, and some of them by the end of it said don't bother. No, I'm only joking. I think everybody did have fun, but it did get quite stressful. So I won't be doing anything like this again on a workshop, ladies, you'll be pleased to hear. So again, very, very light touch all the way around the edge. I am going to go in and do all of my stenciling first, and then come back and do some stamping, and then obviously some of it I've already built up anyway. So that's number one. Any stenciling and blending is going to be done first. Right, put that out of the way, along with the black piece that goes with it. Number two, which is 6 7/8 by 7, and there is no reason for that. Remember to turn it over. You are literally inking all the way around the edge, or blending, whatever you want to call it. No brick wall, just blending. So what exciting things did everybody get up to over Christmas? I like to hear what everybody else did. We had a very quiet one, which was probably a good thing. It was just the three of us. We had Christmas dinner at tea time, which was quite nice. So we could enjoy lounging around doing nothing most of the day. Right. So we have literally inked around the edge of that. Again, quite a light touch. Right, number 3. You need to do a little bit of scoring on number 3. Do your scoring first. So you are scoring at 1.5 inches. And 8.5 inches. Everybody's gone quiet. I should have put a note on Facebook that everybody needed to bring a pen and paper. Right. You then are blending all the way around the edge, including down those score lines. Again, it will make sense as we're going. I think I'm going to have to invest in a new one. I'm glad you had a nice chilled one too, Debbie. Oh, Tina, that's not good. If you had what I've been suffering with, which as they hit me the Wednesday before Christmas, I feel for you because I felt rough. In fact, I stayed in bed for 2 solid days. I couldn't get up. It was not nice. And then when I did get up and was desperate to get in the shower, we had no water. Well, that's nice, Margaret. A couple of friends over. So we are inking around the edge. I've definitely got to invest in a new Shabby shutter. And we're going to ink down centre piece here. This side I'm not inking down this score line, you can if you want to, but I am going to put that crease in, turn it over, ignore the fact you've got numbers there, you don't need to worry about that. And you need to ink down the score line on this side, because this is a flap that's going to be over like so. So this is the piece we're working on. And all the way around the edge. Do you know what? I'm going to have to open the Shabby shutter that I bought to show you all. And we'll use that one as well. And now I might regret doing that. Look, you can see how much juicier it is than mine. It might speed us along a little. So you will end up with a piece that looks like this. So you've got a score line here. You don't need to ink on the other side of the smaller score line, just on this piece, which I believe is about 3 inches, something like that. You're just scoring, blending on the outside, both sides of that one. You don't need to worry about the inside, it's covered anyway. It's closed up, but just, yeah, that's what we're going to be looking at for number 3. So number 4, flipping it over again, we're going to get our make-out station and the stencil. Now we are going to brick wall the full thing on this one. Again, remember, be careful on that hard line on the hard line on the edge of the stencil when you do this. You can go hard in on this side, obviously, but a light touch. You don't want it too heavy because you are going to stamp on this. It's amazing how different the two colours look when you put a new one beside one that you've been using for the world. I use this ink colour a lot these days. I keep wanting to go back to my old one, did you notice that? Might need to go a little bit further over. Just careful not to get that hard line. Okay. And then you're going to line up here. Everybody's very quiet. I must be completely flummoxing you or boring you. Could be either or. Hopefully not boring you too much. So we've now covered our brick wall. I am just going to go round just quickly blend that section as well. I just think it finishes it off a little bit, and I might go back and do that with the front page as well. It just stops it being quite so harsh, and it means if your brick wall isn't level you won't see it because you'll have blended over the top of the unlevel bits. Don't know if mine's level or not, I didn't look at that. Don't think it is particularly. It doesn't because we've hidden it. Right, so that was number 4. That will be stamped on. Again, it's all going to come to fruition when we're done. And number 4 has a matte layer. Number 5. Number 5 is 6.5 by 5 3/4. And you are scoring number 5 at 3/4 of an inch and at 5.5 inches. Captivated as always. Thanks, Emma. Right, number 5 scored at 3/4 of an inch and 5.5 inches. And again, we're blending this one all the way around and down the score lines. And try and do it without having ink all over your fingers, which clearly I haven't. Hopefully something's going to be over the top of that and you're not going to see that my fingers were there. This little flappy bit you don't really need to do, but you do need to kind of do the score line. Again, it will make sense when we get to it. See, that's what happens when you use a new ink pad, eh? You won't see it in a minute because it will be hidden over. I'm trying to work out where that ink is coming from. I think it's on here when I'm picking that up. Right, so number 5 is just ink blending around the edge and down the 2 score lines. Pop that to one side. Number 6. Again, you're scoring number 6. Number 6 is 5 3/4 inch square. And you're scoring this. And as you notice, if you missed the beginning, I have written numbers and the sizes on here. I'm just flipping it over, you're not going to see them. You are scoring at 4 3/4 inches. Now this one, you have to blend on both sides. Now obviously, one side has got your numbers on. It doesn't matter, we're sticking something over the top of it so you won't see them. But you do need to ink both sides on number 6. Oh, we've done over half an hour already of me waffling, look. I must have some ink on the side there, or my thumb is automatically catching that spot. Okay. Turn it over and you're blending on the other side. Didn't do the score line on the other side either, so. Happy New Year, Sandra. The eagle-eyed of you may or may not notice that I am missing a ring. And no, it's not my engagement ring I'm missing. I had a problem with my ring finger. I woke up on the Sunday morning and couldn't move it. And it was all swollen. And ended up at emergency A&E. sent there by the doctor on a couple of days later. And they thought I'd got an infection in the flexi tendon here. So now my ring doesn't always sit particularly happy on my finger at the moment, so we're being gentle with it. So number 6, scored at 4 3/4 inches, and you have inked all the way around the edge and down that score line on both sides. Number 7 also has a score line. So number 7 is 5.5 inch square, and you are scoring at 4 5/8. I know you all hate me for the 8ths. Makes sense though. 1 2 3 4 5/8. It will make sense when you see the card. And again, we are nearly. This one you are using a brick wall. Now it's a little bit, the card size is wider than your stencil, but this score piece here, you're not going to see it. So put your stencil on this side, ink it up as far as it will go. It doesn't matter if you do the hard line, you're not going to see this bit. It gets tucked in, but it's the leverage of something. So that is why you need to have that there, but you're not, as I say, you won't see it. So put this all down. In with our ink. Remember, quite light touch, don't go in too heavy. Particularly as you've got the new ink pad that I decided to open. If you hear voices, I'm sorry that somebody is leaving the building. So as I say, it doesn't matter about going in hard on that edge, because you're not going to see that small bit at the bottom there. And again, just quickly around the edge, just to help take that stark white that it can have and hide if your brick wall is a bit wonky. And down that screw line. So that's your number 7. Number 8 and number 9 are exactly the same size. My goodness, this is like being in a workshop where they all go quiet on me. I'm not used to it. I'm used to having people asking me questions and asking things, but you all want to see what my nemesis was. So we will just blend this one as well. As I said, I'm trying to do this the whole way through, apart from the cutting out. Don't go in too heavy. Remember, you're stamping on this as well, like you will be on number 7 and you will be on number 9. I'm trying to show you all the steps the whole way, so that apart from cutting it out. But not too heavy. The whole thing, and blend around the edge. I know that time I stuck my finger right on the ink pad. That was the chair. I've got a very creaky chair. And this is just to soften those edges. Don't have to do this step if you don't want to. Excuse me. And now this is going to catch me out. Bear with me a second. Debbie, I was doing that at 7 o'clock yesterday morning, because it was the only time I had to do it. So I feel your pain, but I'm really a real stickler for making sure my lights go back organised so that I don't have to fight with them the following year. Because if those of you that don't know, it takes me about 8 hours to put our Christmas tree up normally. My mother-in-law was here this year, so she helped me a little bit. So I think we did the whole house in about 6 hours, I think. I don't do a lot elsewhere. My tree's huge. One day I might put a picture of the tree up. And it's got ornaments on there that are from 40 plus years ago. So it's not a very traditional, or it's a very traditional tree. It's not a, excuse me, a trendy tree. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to keep stopping. I've got a funny, horrible tickly cough that keeps catching me out today. Probably haven't spoken this much for a while, so that might be why it's catching me out. I would say I'll sit here quietly, but that wouldn't be much fun watching me really then, would it? If I knew how, I'd pre-record these videos and speed these bits up, but I don't know how to. They do like a voiceover on top of it, I think, a lot of people, don't they? Maybe one day I'll go to a workshop and be taught how to do it. I'm not very technically minded. So again, we just inked around the edge of that just to take away that harsh line and hide it if your brick wall isn't straight. I'm glad I'm not the only one, Debbie. So 8 and 9 are exactly the same size. 10 and 11, you're doing the same thing like we just did, inking them up. I do try and kind of get them, the stencil, particularly if it's a symmetrical one like this, levelish. I've had a few years like that too, Margaret, where I haven't put all my decorations up. Usually if we've been away or if we're going away, they don't go up. And if we're late arriving back, they don't go up. But I do love my Christmas tree once it's up. What I would love to be able to do is have the space to just like put cling film or a cover over the top of it and just take it out again the following year and hope that all my Christmas lights are still working. But I don't think I'd be that lucky. And again, just ink around the edges there. This piece is actually a piece that you really don't see, but if you don't put it in, everywhere else is too it's too bare underneath. It just looks a bit odd because everything else is quite busy. Emma, I won't be doing recordings because I wouldn't know how to. And then that one has a matte layer as well. And then last but not least, number 11. So we're what, 45 minutes in, and that's with me waffling as well. Okay, I know I cut it out ahead, but that's all I did ahead of schedule. So far, that's all I did ahead of schedule. Ink that up again. Now you will be stamping on this piece, so don't go in too hard on it with the colour. And maybe a little bit heavy for mine, but too late now, it's done. and then around the edge again. I'm definitely glad I changed my inks. Right, that is all of your pieces and all of your blending done. Yay! I'm just going to wipe that over quickly because if I put it away with that green on there, I'll forget it and then I'll curse it afterwards. So, blending and probably all your scoring. We may have to score some of those black ones. I've used paperweight cardstock for the black, so it may not need to be scored. It's a really lightweight cardstock, but who knows. Now there's bits of this we are going to put together now because there's bits that don't need stamping on. So I'm going to do those pieces first. So you are going to need piece number 2 and piece number 3. Now piece number 2 has a right and a wrong way. And if you remember, it was a slightly smaller. Piece number 2 was in size 6 7/8, so you're only 1/8 shorter, but it'll make sense in a minute. If you went in that way, you're going to be short by the 1/8 of an inch down the bottom here, and that isn't going to work. So make sure you put it round the right way. You are sticking this inside this flap, which is why I have asked you to take that 1/8 of an inch off, because when you fold this over, you need it to line up over here so that it picks up there. Now I will do it like so, and obviously with that school line in there, it adds a bit of bulk to your card, and you don't want that bit of bulk to cause you a problem when you try and put this card together. So I'm going to put the glue on my little bit of the flap. I want the glue on. So it's going on the inside of the card. You won't see any of the mechanics, which is why it's going on the inside. That makes that into a whole big card. And that should all work like so. Alright. We're then going to put that inside this piece. This piece leave flapping, don't stick anything down. You are going to stick this in here. Bear with me a second. Card onto card, if that makes sense. Cardstock onto cardstock. I'm having a moment here. I've thrown myself a bit. It's because I had 2 number 2s. You've seen a sneak peek of what we're doing now, but there you go. I inked up 2 number 2s and got them stuck together, and I was like, why have I got an extra piece? Doesn't make sense. Right, so we're sticking this whole piece in the middle of your card. So roughly middle, top and bottom. Close your card on it. And then you will then have, that's what I mean, it hides all your workings. The card is now stuck in there, I hope. Seeing that, I'm going to lift it off quickly because it has moved. And I will do it again. close that, and then that will open and take the card page with you. Do the same on this side, but you're not inking this flappy piece. And you see that flappy piece is going across there. You're just going to glue this back piece and it's going to stick to this back panel. We hope. And if this goes wrong, it's there forever. Look, it's on YouTube and on the internet for the rest of my life. And there's no run doing it. Right. I knew that was going to do that to me. There we go. This is being a pig. Now that glue's come wet. I'll pop a little bit more glue on there, I think. It's given me testing today, isn't it? I knew this was going to test me because it is my nemesis. So there we go. Our card is now ready to go. Don't worry, bent it out there. So just pop that to one side. That just gets a few pieces out of the way because you know I'm good for that. I'm always like, get that out of the way. Right, your front page, we forgot, or should I say I forgot to tell you to ink around the edge of that front page. So I'm going to get you to quickly do that. Try and not get any ink on the middle of this page because you're not covering this now. Everybody's still with me? Fingers crossed you are. So we are going to take our simple Snowdrops stamp. As I say, I'm going to show you how to do a few of these bits and pieces. I have already done a load of them. Done them all, in fact. So we're going to take the large stamp from the snowflake and our Onyx black ink. I'm going to ink that all up. It's a big stamp, so take some time. Put some ink around the edges there, and if I get that on my fingers, I'll curse it. I'm going to ink that stamp out. Right, as I say, no problem, Pat. A bit like my sister who decided to call me, who knows that I do Facebook Live every other Thursday afternoon. And she rang me right as I just started this. Right, so we are going to heat emboss this with the crystal clear embossing powder. Remember, you do need to work quite quickly with the embossing powder on here because this ink is not friends with embossing powder. I would suggest as well, and I should have done that before I did this, but I didn't, it was too late. Anti-static bag all the way around the edge, wherever you're going to be stamping, just to help make sure that embossing powder doesn't stick anywhere you don't want it to, because we're going to be colouring this. I know this isn't the most interesting, and as you all know, I heat from underneath because it gives me a smoother finish, and it puts a barrier between the heat gun and the embossing powder, so it hopefully won't dance all over the page.
have a new heat gun that's a little bit slower than my other one, so we are going to jump on a few of these pieces. But I reckon you can nail this. It's not one of my super quick cards. It's definitely not that. Probably in an hour and a half to 2 hours, I think you could probably do it all. Okay, there is more to the front page than this. I'm just going to show you the colouring part because it's a bigger stamp than the others. So you can see, because otherwise we're already an hour in, aren't we? Remember, you've got to blot with the clean colour pens. I'm sure you probably do with other pens too when you've used embossing powder. So literally I'm going, and I haven't done this on watercolour cardstock, so we're not doing very much blending, and I'm not going over it too much. So this is literally, and it's number 053, which is yellow green, because I think it's quite nice for the Snowdrop stamp. But you don't have to do it with this particular stamp, you can do it with whatever you fancy. So I'm just doing all the foliage first. Again, it will make sense to you in a few minutes. I go really quiet when I'm colouring. Right, so all the foliage done. Now with the flowers, I am, as I said, having just said, I'm not doing any blending. I am doing a tiny amount just on these snowdrops, and I'm actually not colouring onto the card. I'm colouring the black embossing that's underneath and then taking the blending pen and just pulling that through just to put a hint of colour on the snowdrops. I will come in a bit closer in a minute and show you what I mean by that hint of colour. So I lay the ink onto the embossing powder and then use the blending brush to pull it out, just to add some colour in there. And if I come in closer on camera, you can see there's a real subtle green tinge to those two snowdrops. That would usually be inside the snowdrop, I know, but we can't achieve that with a stamp, so that's the next best thing. Where are we? Here we go. So I repeated that with the smaller one on the top and then popped our birthday wishes sentiment in the middle. As I say, I'm not gonna have time to go through every single one with you, so every single stamped image. I will do some of them as we're going along, but I figured this one we can get away with just showing you that bit. I'm going to matte and layer this. Now when I did it, the Christmas one, we actually didn't matte and layer it. As I say, I'll show you when this one's finished. But I felt that it needed that extra colour in the background on this one. With all the green that was going on and the black being quite harsh, it needed that extra on there. So we're going to stick that on the front, and then that will be the front piece out of our way. Oh, Susan, how rude, being back at work. We'll be here and feel free. It will be on YouTube live today. So if you click on our YouTube, you can see live section, and then we'll upload everything properly. I think we're able to do that tomorrow morning. So everything will be uploaded on there for you tomorrow. For some reason, my card doesn't want to lay flat, so work with that afterwards. I don't know why it's giving me that issue, but it is, and there's nothing I can do about it. So you've got numbers 1 on the front, number 2 and 3 here. That's going to drive me insane. So
don't do as I do, do as I say. I'm just going to lift that until we're ready to stick it back all together so I can lay this flat. Number 2 and number 3 are the piece that you stuck together. Number 4, I've spread myself out a little bit here. Bear with me, ladies and gents. Number 4 has a matten layer, and it also has that big stamped image. So you're going to stamp that image out large again and colour it in exactly the same way. And with number 4, I am going to show you that one. I'm not going to colour it in though. So I'm just going to stick this down. Now, the large image has an extra piece on the edge here, which would have taken it too far across for what we're doing. So I'm going to grab my number 4 again just to show you what we do here. This is my way around it. I'm sure there's lots of other ways that other people do it. This is just the way I do it. And again, I'm going to zoom you down a little bit. Now I'm going to take some of my post-it on a roll. This is the easiest way I have found to do this task. I'm sure there's much easier ways, and if anybody knows it, feel free to share. But this is the way I like to do it. And I've gone in as close as I can to that other flourish, but I'm covering those leaves up. I don't want them inked. You could go in and wipe it off, and then you wipe off the bit you don't want and to have wiped off, and it's just... So I ink all of this as I normally would. I'm a bit more cautious when I get down to the bottom corner down here. But I've left that paper on there. You, of course, need to remove that before you go down, and make sure that piece underneath is as clean as it can be. And then I'm going to go as close to the edge on this side without it looking ridiculous. I'm going to make that commitment. I wanted to show you that before so that you could see what I did, and I didn't zoom myself back out, which I'm going to do now. The recording of this is found on our website, Corinne. It's if you go onto our website, along the very top it says demo videos, I think. If you click on there, it will take you to the recording of this, and obviously it's on the live on Facebook and YouTube anyway. So that means you get that whole flourish without that extra piece on there. So I just wanted to share that with you. I'm going to jump back in now, back with the bit we did earlier. Now this sits in here, and I'm also going to stick that down too. So this is going on the inside card, if that makes sense. Okie dokie. Number 4 is this piece here with your matting and layering. Right, we are going 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's get rid of that because that little bit of black ink will go a long way. Again, it doesn't matter that you've got fingerprints, it doesn't matter that you can see some of the numbers, because we're putting stuff on the top. Right, with these ones, number 5, you have the smaller score line to your left, the
the slightly bigger score line to your right. We're not sticking anything down at this point, please. No more sticking now until I say different. Right. You are working then on number 6. Just double checking on myself here. Yes. Number 6. This is the one that you've inked both sides, so it doesn't matter which side you use. And then you are taking number 7. Now remember I said that I'd done the layer for number 7 on, or it's all done on a paperweight cardstock. There is a reason I've done that, because I didn't want to do the score lines. So I'm going to wait to do the score line until I know where I want it, where I need it to be. It will, I promise you, it will make sense. So you are going to, on number 7 that you have already inked, number 7, which has a score line in it, you're going to stamp the small flourish, colour it in exactly the same way, and I've popped a happy birthday sentiment on there. I think the best way for me to get that score line is if I stick number 7 down on the matting and layering. And I think I'll go back in, and that's the only one that's got a double score, I think. I'm just going to go back in and press that score again. It's not a crucial line, if that makes sense. I just need to be able to do that there, which it will do quite happily now. So that is number 7. Again, no sticking down yet. This will open against this. So once you've matted and layered number 7 and you've got that extra fold in there, you're going to glue the whole thing down onto one side of number 6. You need to glue it so that the score lines, oh, that was a bit quick, wasn't it, line up. So when you put it on there, it's got the layering all the way around the edge. So make sure you put your border in, but make sure that those score lines are lined up. But you're sticking the whole thing flat down, including that flap and including this whole piece. And that's sticking onto number 6. Flip number 6 over, and you are going to take your 8 and 9. Now 8 and 9, I have reversed the image that I stamped so that you get the corner image. It just means that this piece is in a slightly different area, but if I don't point that out to you, you will not notice that. And number 7 or 8, or sorry, 8 or 9, doesn't matter which. So you're just gluing those all together.
8 and 9 matted and layered. Number 5 is still sitting here nice and pretty. I haven't forgotten about it. I promise. Let me think about this for 2 seconds. Happy birthday. Have a wonderful day. Make a wish. Right, so you are going to stick, depending on which way you put your corner, it doesn't matter whether it's 8 or 9. They are both exactly the same size. And that's going to stick to the other side of number 6. Do yourself a favour and flip it back over so that you've got that folded score line on your right hand side. It's a long one today, Sandra. Oh, Elizabeth, sorry. So get a cup of tea and join us. And then number 5, you're going to stick either 8 or 9, whichever one you didn't use, on number 6. Again, your wider flap is on your right hand side. This is the wider of the 2 score lines. That doesn't show it very well, does it? This one is your wider of the same score line. And it will be hopefully the same as the score line you've got on this one here. And again, will all make sense in a few moments. Now I'm going to get you, so it's going to open up like so when we put it all together. So I'm going to get you to just, best way to describe this, right, I'm going to put those 2 flat, fold that flap over, I'm going to stick these 2 flaps together, and hopefully those score lines will sit together as well. That's the plan. So that's now what you should have. You've got a small flap here and those 2 stuck together. So that's the inside of the inside of the inside card. Again, I'm just going to pop those to one side for a couple of moments, just while we do the last few pieces. That was my missing piece. Look, I knew I had already done it somewhere. So these are number 10 and number 11. Number 11 is the smaller of the 2. This is number 10. Number 10, you're doing nothing to it. It is just as is. This is going to be one of those videos where you stop and start. And pause me and listen to me waffling and then come back to it. But I do think it's worth the effort when you make the card. I really like the card. Number 11, I literally stamped the smaller image and didn't worry about the fact that part of it came off the edge. It just is what it is. I would suggest, depending on how confident a stamper you are, you probably, to do all the stamping, need another maybe half an hour, 40 minutes. I'm just trying to give you ideas on timings. So that's those 2 layers done. This piece goes on here, and let me zoom me out a little bit more because it seems to be there. Maybe that'll be a bit better. So this piece is going to stick on the outside of that little flap, but I haven't stuck that flap down yet. And again, give yourself that border around the edge. This piece goes in here, and as I said, you're not going to see it, but you're going to try and you'll see parts of it, and depending how you hold the card, you'll see parts of it. So
it needed something in there. So that was my answer. And again, you should be able to have that border matching all the way around. So you've still got your flappy piece, you've still got this piece. Now, the piece that you've done here, that's made into like a book, but a book opens the wrong way. This flap here goes under here and open it up. Position it in the middle, top and bottom, and leave it open. This piece, you're going to, oh, you knew I was going to do that, didn't you? Leave that piece open. This piece we're going to glue down underneath here. The reason I'm asking you to do this and not glue that in a position on here, it's just got to sit where it works on your card. So this flaps underneath here. I can't lift it to show you. So just a little bit of glue on here. You can be quite generous or use red tape, whichever you prefer. And try and not keep moving it, Amanda. Hold that there. Fold your flap underneath. Press it down. Elizabeth, you'll need a cuppa after it. So that should then mean this, slide under there and close on your card. When you open it, it comes up. If that works, stick right at the edge, only on the two short edges. Only the two short edges. Do not go all the way around. And we have not stuck this piece down. It's just stuck on that little flap there. Press that down and give it a couple of seconds. It's got to hold. Red tape is probably better if you've got red tape to do that section with. Now that card should hopefully slide in there. And that means I'm now going to make sure that my back piece is stuck. I think I need to give myself a new glue as well. So when we open it up, I have to put red tape on there. I did something really silly at the end of TV, and I haven't used my red tape since. And I stuck it in my box, and it's meant I've lost all of those foam pads because they stuck to it. I make myself cross sometimes. Right. I'm going to put some red tape on there just to make sure that that holds hard. Now red tape doesn't like going on top of where glue's been either, does it? So that's going to be a pain. As I say, it's a lot of parts to it, but once you've done all the work, it comes together really quickly. And I think for a special card, do you know what? January birthdays need a special card. Because I think it's horrible having it. My sister's birthday's in January. And mine's April. It's much nicer in April. So I think January birthdays deserve a special card. And I think this is a special card to make for somebody for a January birthday. So there we have it. Birthday wishes, happy birthday, make a wish, have a wonderful day. Okay. Now, one little thing. I've just got that horrible tick. everybody. One little thing I do need to mention. I have done it with this piece on this card so that it's a whole piece that slots underneath, which is why you have that bend in there. My original one, which I'm now going to show you, I didn't, and I'll explain something. This was the card we did at the workshop. We used our holly ribbons. Everything else is exactly the same, we just used different stamp set. And then it opens like so. My piece has been opened and closed that many times, it needs some help sticking back down there again. But when you closed it, and on this piece I didn't do it longer so it slotted underneath, when you close it, it was getting stuck there. So I had to help it all the time to go underneath. Which is why when we did this one, don't know if I can get this out again now, this piece was longer. I've got it here in pieces, haven't I? So that was that piece. So this was the piece that had that extra score line in it. And that's the reason why we put that score line in there. So, happy birthday, have a wonderful day, make a wish. Tina, you deserve chocolate after that. So, let's pop back and just go through what we've used quickly, and then you can get rid of me. So what did we use? Let me grab it, it's too far away now. So we've used cardstock. We use the black cardstock as well, the layering, which Veronica, you don't tell me that. So we have white cardstock, and then I did the layering with our black. But I used paper weight, the lighter weight one, 120 I think it is. We've used the brick wall stencil. We've used our simple Snowdrops stamp set, which says, have a wonderful day, happy birthday, and simple is beautiful. We also used the sentiment stamp set, happy birthday, hope this year is your best one yet. Hope your day is fabulous, celebrate your day, make a wish, and birthday wishes on there. And we also used the Shabby Shutter ink. We should have if I'd been stamping more, but obviously I couldn't stamp everything out right now. Anti-static bag, Versafine Onyx black, crystal clear embossing powder. We also used sticky glue, and the two pen colours I have used are the blender pen, which is 999, and the yellow green, which is 053. So that's all the products we used. Now you get to see me again, lucky you. Now I know we do these should be doing these every other Thursday. Unfortunately, the next Thursday that we're due to be here, I will be in Sandown setting up for the show. So we're not going to be back now until the beginning of February, which I know is a bit of a jump. We may come in, maybe, I might try, I'm not sure if I can do it, but maybe next Thursday, depends if the samples have arrived in time to let you see the new launch. Otherwise, what I might do is just pop a Facebook Live quick in one evening maybe next week to show you the new stamps when they are here, ready for their official launch. We do like to do a launch, but I'm not sure how my week's going to go. We've just had some news come in that may mean my week is a bit tied up next week. So fingers crossed. Yeah, so we will be at Sandown on the, let me think what date it is. I keep getting this wrong. The 19th and 20th, 18th, 19th. It's the Thursday, and Friday and Saturday. Not next weekend, the weekend after. I'm pretty sure it's, but all the dates are on our website under the events category. Take care, Pat. Bye. Hopefully you all enjoyed today's card. We have York at the end of January, the York race course with Stamporama. This is a brand new show for them up there. It's hopefully going to be a replacement for the Harrogate one that they will no longer be doing. So if you normally go to Harrogate, join us in York at the end of this month, which is the Sunday the 28th. Then we have our workshop in where are we? We're just down the road in Suffolk on the 3rd of February, Saturday the 3rd of February. So we've got a busy time coming up now. See you in Sandown, Viv. So if anybody's got any questions, please give me a shout. Hopefully you enjoyed that card, and I did get over my nemesis. We all have one. And as I say, keep an eye out. I'll let you know when we are going to do a Facebook Live, probably one evening, to launch the new release of stamps. Can you believe it's going to be my 50th set of stamps released? That's bonkers for little old me to have done 50 sets of stamps. That doesn't include the stencils and the dies. That's just our 50th set of stamps. So we hopefully will have 4 new larger ones, 4 of our smaller ones, and fingers crossed 4 stencils. So yeah, a big launch for our January. Anyway, that's enough of me. That's an hour and a half of me waffling. So I hope you've all enjoyed the card. I will quickly spring it back around for you to see one more time. I will pop the measurements on Facebook and try and see if I can work out how to do it on YouTube. But there you go. That is our finished card for today. As I say, make those January cards a little bit extra special, because January birthdays are never much fun. Take care, look after yourselves, and we will see you all again soon.